This is the Fantasy Huddle. I'm Randy Shaver along with Kevin Gorg. This show is brought to you by Aquarius Home Services. We're in the Aquarius Home Services studio. 10K Construction, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood. Week 1 of the NFL season in the books. We actually faced each other in the Talk North League this week. Thank you, Aaron Jones, for the sensational touchdown catch late in that game that put me on top of Gorg. And, even with Kittle going down early in my football game, I was really seriously worried. But you got a text from me as soon as Jones went in the end zone.
As soon as he hit the paint, I'm like, oh, my God. It was great. It came down to the fourth quarter on Monday night. Great battle.
Yeah.
But we got to tip the hat to Mark Rosen, who claimed he hadn't played fantasy in like 3 decades. He scored 106 points. We were like battling in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Nobody scored in the 90s in our 12-team league. And little Mark Rosen with 106. What a fraud he is.
Well, that's week 1 luck. That's the way I look at it.
It might be. Let's not overreact.
Yeah. Well, overreacting after week 1 of the NFL is hard to do in fantasy because everybody's out there on the waiver wire right now trying to figure out how I can improve my football team. And that is the fun of fantasy football is after week 1, everybody's like panic, especially if you lost. How am I going to get myself back? On the waiver wire this week, what did you do? What was your most significant move of the week?
I'm trying to buy some Chiefs. I think right now with the injuries they're dealing with.
Hollywood Brown.
Yeah,
baby.
Hollywood Brown and Kareem Hunt are 2 guys I've looked for. And then if you're looking for a tight end, which I knew you were, Juwan Johnson, you went and got him. If you're out there and you need a backup tight end or you need a guy that you can plug and play, Juwan Johnson's going to be a thing. The Saints are going to be losing. They're a terrible team. But when you're a bad quarterback like Rattler, the easiest thing you can do is to find your tight end. I watched that football game, and Johnson was awesome. So that's good.
Yeah, so I feel pretty good about, at least for now, because Kittle was put on IR, so I'm going to have
George Brittle?
Yeah, George Brittle.
And listen, he's great, and he looked really good.
He was great.
And back to week 1, not overreacting, I got a couple quick numbers. These are all 5 alpha wide receivers. Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, A.J. Brown, and Calvin Ridley. None of these guys in full point PPRs even got to 5 fantasy points. Please don't panic.
Right.
If you want to maybe take advantage of some fantasy owners, make offers on those players. Maybe they will give you these guys at a reduced rate. They're going to be fine.
Yeah. All right. We're going to run through each of the matchups this week. We're going to go back and forth. Kevin's going to start. The Thursday night game is Washington at Green Bay. What do you got?
Listen, Green Bay's defense with Micah Parsons looked awesome. That's 1 week. It's a small sample size. Don't panic. You're going to start Jaden Daniels. He's a freak at quarterback. There is no issue there. You're going to start Deebo Samuel, who really got a lot more usage than I thought he would.
Which kind of makes some sense because McLaurin had missed so much time. So
for sure.
If you think about it after the fact, probably should have played Deebo more.
No question.
Yeah.
McLaurin, you still have to start. He's a high-end guy. He's going to get it going. The question mark's going to become the backfield because Eckler and Krosky-Merritt are both probably guys you can start in desperation mode. They're not guys you're going to want to lean on as your top 2 backs. So I put kind of a dart throw on them. On the Green Bay side, it's muddy outside of the obvious ones. Jordan Love's a solid quarterback. Jacobs is still a horse in the backfield. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. Tucker Kraft, to me, is the guy you want in the pass-catching realm at tight end. He's really good. The problem I have with Green Bay in this matchup is which wide receivers are you going to pick? They've got 5, and they use them all. I still think Golden, the rookie, is the guy that climbs out of this thing, but he's a rookie. It's going to take some time. So I'm leaning on Jacobs, Love, and Kraft. The others, you're on your own.
All right. I've got Jacksonville, Cincinnati. It's a Sunday noon game. The number's at 49.5, easily the highest number of the week for week 2. On the Jacksonville side, love Travis Etienne. 62% of the snaps last week. Obviously, they traded.
That's huge.
They traded Bigsby to Philadelphia. Kind of opens things up a little bit more. I love him against the Bengals defense. Jacksonville ran for over 200 yards in that football game. Yes to Trevor Lawrence. Yes to Brian Thomas. Did not have the greatest day receiving. Travis Hunter, I think, maybe surprised some people. 6 catches and 8 targets. You can play Strange too, but I think that's a backup tight end. So I love the Jacksonville offense this week against the Bengals defense, which, yes, held Cleveland to 13, but it's Cleveland even with Njoku. The Bengals, again, all in, despite the fact that they only scored 17 against Cleveland. Jacksonville does have a good football defense, but give me Burrow, give me Chase Brown, who I think proved that he is the workhorse
No doubt.
in this offense. No other running back touched the football in the Bengals game against Cleveland other than Chase Brown. And Noah Fant kind of came out of nowhere at the tight end position. So if you're looking for a tight end this week, maybe take a chance on that. Overall, love this football game. The number's 49.5. Now, having said that, last week I said puke to the Steelers and the Jets.
We all
and
did.
they had the highest over of any football game last week.
Go figure.
It was crazy. The number was 38.5. So take these with a grain of salt. This is what Vegas puts out at 49.5, but it does look like maybe the best fantasy game of the week. Next game is the Giants at Dallas. It's a noon game on Sunday.
Dallas should get right here, right? They've got a little extra time to prepare. They played in the opening game of the year on Thursday Night Football last week. The total's 44.5, so it's kind of a middling total. All that being said, I'm not doing a lot with the New York Football Giants. Russell Wilson is still, unfortunately, Russell Wilson.
Well, Jackson Dart may play a little bit more this
And
week.
if Jackson Dart plays, I think that really does give New York a completely different offense. He looked awesome in the preseason. Neighbors is going to bounce back. He was bad last week. He'll be just fine. I'm a little worried about the running back. I've got a lot of shares of Tyrone Tracy Jr. I'm going to be honest with you. He didn't look great. Scatabo is still going to be a thing. I think they're going to mix him in. I don't like the backfield. For me, it's Malik Neighbors or bust on the Giants side. On the Dallas side, I think they roll in this game, and I think CeeDee Lamb is in a smash spot. The Giants secondary stinks. I think Lamb's going to eat. I think Pickens is going to do just fine. Dak's a great start.
Yep.
And Javonte Williams, I'll say this. He's going to get touchdowns, but he didn't even look good in that game. He just fell into the end zone twice. Bottom line is, though, they're going to feed him the ball, and he's startable because of the touchdown factor.
I totally agree. All right, I've got Chicago, Detroit, noon game on Sunday. If you've got the Bears and you're a Bears fan, oh gosh, you look great on the opening drive against the Vikings, and after that, the Vikings defense just shut them down, and Caleb Williams looked lost. Clearly, I think Bears fans are disappointed in the way things turned out. The line is 47.5. That's a pretty big line, but I think it's a big line because of the Lions, not because of the Bears. And I think that that's the way you've got to play it this week. I've got mild interest in Bears, Williams, DJ Moore, Swift, Odunze. The Lions defense gave up less than 200 yards passing, so I think you got to be cautious about that. But there's not really a lot on the Chicago side that I like. However, on the Lions side, they miss Ben Johnson. There's no doubt their offense did not look great against Green Bay. Give Green Bay credit. Their defense looked really good. But I think, and I think we both agree, this is a big week for the Lions.
Yes.
I think you're going to see the Lions offense come back in a big way this week. I'm all over Goff. Jahmyr Gibbs just had a terrible game statistic-wise against Green Bay. And again, give the Packers defense credit. I think he's going to have a smash game this week against Chicago, even though the Bears defense is not bad. I like all of the Lions pieces. I like St. Brown. I love Laporta. He had 6 catches for 79 yards last week. Let me repeat that. 6 catches, 79 yards last week.
Which is okay.
It doesn't matter. He's off and running. So for me, stack this game with the Detroit Lions. I think that's the play. Next game is the Rams at Tennessee. It's a noon start.
Yeah, this one, a lower over-under at 41.5. For what it's worth, Rams are a 5.5-point pick on the road. They looked okay last week. They struggled at times offensively, but they're big guys. And I'm talking about the core four. Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Kyron Williams. These are not guys you think about. You put them in, you start them, you drafted them for a reason, and you play them. And to me, they're the 4 you start. The others, no chance. On the Tennessee side, you're going to have to make some tough choices. I'm waiting on Cam Ward.
Yep.
I like this kid's talent. I think there's a ton of potential. Hang on to him. Don't panic, but you can't start him. Pollard is the workhorse back we thought he would be. He is startable. Calvin Ridley has a bounce-back game in this game. They're likely going to be trailing. No Patrick Surtain to shadow him like last week in Denver. He goes off. The rest of the players on the Tennessee side, for me, are on the bench. It's a light load on the side of the Titans.
All right. I've got New England at Miami. It's a noon start in Miami. The over-under, or the number, is 44.5. On the New England side, we saw the emergence of the young receiver, Kayshon Boutte, 6 catches, 103 yards, 8 targets. I think he's probably the most highly regarded pick on the waiver wire this week, especially if you're hurting at receiver. 81% of the snap rate for him in that football game. A fact about this guy, if you haven't seen him play or how fast he is, he ran a 21.3, 200 meters in high school. So he's got the speed for sure. And Drake May, I think, has a connection with that guy. But Drake May had a connection with all of his players. 10 players saw targets for the New England Patriots in that football game, 287 yards in the air in that game. Miami's defense looked bad. Their offense looked bad. I'm all over New England today. I love Hunter Henry. If you've got a tight end situation and you're not quite sure what to do, and if he's on the waiver wire, I think you should pick him up because Drake May and Henry have a connection. But I love that side, and Travion Henderson is going to be a thing. Ramonde's hanging around, but Travion's going to be a thing.
It's a matter of time.
With you. Again, if you have him, don't panic. Hold on to him because I think before the season's over, he's going to be a thing. On the Miami side, trying not to overreact to week 1, but it's hard not to. My God, they look terrible. A-Chain did play. They fell behind early, so he didn't get a lot of work on the ground. Tyreek Hill is back in some legal issues now. His estranged wife has accused him of domestic violence. He denies it. Clearly, this is a distraction for both him and the team. Miami's at home. It kind of feels like a bounce back, but I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. I'm staying away from Miami. So look for New England pieces in this football game. Seattle at Pittsburgh, it's a noon start.
Yeah, and this is the lowest over-under that I could find all week long, 39.5.
I think Pittsburgh's over-unders are always going to look like that, aren't they?
Well, yeah, you have to make some decisions because they do have the pieces on defense to really be a problem, although that game just blew up last week. I don't think this one does. I think this is more going to be a ground and pound type of game. You're not going to start Sam Darnold. Cooper Kupp, I think, could be a real problem if you drafted him because he does not look like the Cooper Kupp of old, and he loves to run from the slot where Jackson Smith-Njigba does. And he's the one guy. If you're going to play a Seahawk, if you're going to play daily fantasy, that's the one guy you have to have. He went for 9 catches and for 124 yards. So Jackson Smith-Njigba is a thing. You're going to start him. Tough call in the backfield, but I think, Randy, your take throughout our shows in the preseason was all about Zach Charbonnet. I'm going to give you full credit because he looks much better than Walker, and that's a thing. So I'm not starting Walker. If I have to start a running back, it's going to be Charbonnet. All right, Aaron Rodgers had 4 touchdown passes, and we're really happy for him. He looked fine.
He looked good.
He looked good. All right, we'll see if he can sustain it. We'll see if he can stay healthy. In a pinch, can you start him? Sure. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't want any part of him in daily fantasy. Jaylen Warren's just a running back. I don't think he's extraordinarily talented. I think he's mediocre at best, but he is their running back number 1 for now. Yep. He scored last week. I think he's a solid start. DK Metcalf, 4 for 83. He's fine. The big talk is going to be about Calvin Austin. He's a guy on the waiver wire that might be available. Yep. If you had some injuries at the wide receiver position, Calvin Austin could be one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite targets. Think of a Lazard type of guy underneath. This guy's got some real potential. And Jonnu Smith, here we go again. You've got the double tight end thing with Freiermuth. I think of the two, you want Jonnu. Is he startable? I would say that's a fringe call, maybe a dart throw, but you're certainly going to lean towards him over Freiermuth.
All right, Buffalo at the Jets. It's a noon game on Sunday. The number's 45.5. Good number. Bills side, I think, coming off that dramatic win over Baltimore. If you watch that game on Sunday night, 16 points with under 4 minutes to play to come back and beat a very, very good Baltimore team. Josh Allen's just a cheat code. You got to play him regardless of any matchup whatsoever. I like James Cook in this game. The Jets' run defense is solid, but Cook is the man up front. But Allen does steal touchdowns, so you got to be a little cautious about the way that looks. I thought Keon Coleman looked really good. I know a lot of people are waiting on him. I thought he looked good. He had 8 catches, a touchdown, and 11 targets. Feels like Allen is finding where he is. The other pieces are serviceable, but I think for me, Josh Allen clearly is the guy. James Cook for me. On the Jets side, wow, Justin Fields, yeah, I'm a believer right now, and because of the reasons that you've talked about. He looked good throwing the ball. He looked really good running the ball.
Really good running.
Against a very good Steeler, at least we thought going in, a very good Steeler defense. Buffalo did give up 238 yards rushing in their game against Baltimore. So Breece Hall, yeah, I think I'd play him. And I'll look at Braylon Allen as a backup kind of guy. The Jets are going to face a Bills defense that coughed up 447 yards and 40 points against Baltimore. Yes, the Jets are not the Baltimore Ravens. I get it. But I think Buffalo's defense is susceptible to some things. So I think there's good players on both sides. Don't be afraid to play some of the Jets. They are at home. It's a rivalry game with Buffalo. And again, I think it's a good fantasy football game. You've got San Francisco, New Orleans. It's a noon start in New Orleans.
Definitely come back and check out what we post on Friday, because we have a ton of question marks on the side of San Francisco. We're going to start with your guy, George Kittle, who now is on IR and out at least 4 weeks. So he's going to be out 4 to 5 games for sure. Jawan Jennings has a shoulder. He's a question mark. But the biggest one is the quarterback, who's dealing with a shoulder and a toe. Brock Purdy, a major, major question mark in this football game. So for me right now, if you've got San Francisco 49ers, you need to really pay attention to the next couple of days. The practice reports matter. What we do know is this: McCaffrey played through the hamstring and had 31 touches. Now, I don't think that's the way they drew it up, but they were down most of that football game, and he looked good. McCaffrey looked good. If you have him on your roster, you need to figure out a way to get Brian Robinson Jr. That's the handcuff you need to have. If you have to give up a piece and make a trade, I'm telling you right now, McCaffrey will not play all 17 games, and Robinson looked good when he did get a chance to play in that game. And the other guy that I think really looks solid is Ricky Pearsall, who we talked about a lot. He's going to end up being their top guy. It just looks like he's healthy and there's opportunity, but I think he needs Purdy to play in this football game for me to use him in New Orleans in a game they're probably going to lead most of the way either way. On the New Orleans side, Rattler is still Rattler. He's ratty. You don't want him. Kamara is serviceable. Olave's already hurt.
But Olave had a lot of targets.
He did.
I mean, you got to look at that a little bit too.
If Olave's healthy.
And Juwan Johnson, I think they each had 11 targets.
100%. Because what you forget about, and listen, the Saints are going to win 2 or 3 games throughout the 17 games they play. But in fantasy, we don't care about real football. They're going to have opportunity because they're going to be trailing in all of these games. Kamara's going to catch the ball. Olave's going to catch the ball. And Juwan Johnson's going to catch the ball. So even though Rattler's not a great NFL quarterback, he has great opportunity for his ball catchers because they're going to be losing game in and game out. Is this a game I'm going to migrate to in daily? Very little. Over-under's 43.5, especially if Purdy's out. It looks like one of those snoozer 17 to 12 type of games.
All right. Cleveland, Baltimore. It's the final noon game on Sunday. The number is 45.5. The Ravens are 11-point favorites. Do not play any Cleveland Browns. Just don't do it. Don't torture yourself. No.
Jerry Jeudy?
None.
Oh,
Zero.
Come on, Randy.
Zero.
They're going to be trailing the entire
Absolutely
game.
nothing is what I wrote here.
Hold on.
Not play.
Hold on. How many points did Baltimore give up last week?
They gave up a lot, yes, but that's against the Buffalo offense.
I understand
Kevin.
This is a step down in class.
Step down? I'd say that's all the way down the escalator.
I understand that, but you're crazy if you're not starting at least Jerry Jeudy.
Look, if you're depending on Cleveland Brown players to win your fantasy game, you're already screwed.
I agree with that, but this is
why do that to yourself?
I like Jerry Jeudy in this matchup.
Fine.
I do.
All right. On the Ravens side, wow. Derrick Henry all day. 18 carries, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. I know he fumbled at the worst time he could possibly fumble, turned the game around, gave Buffalo the chance to win the game, and they took advantage of it. But I love the work.
He looks so good.
He looks so good. Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers. If you've got the 2 on your roster, do not ever hesitate to play those 2 guys.
100%.
Because he's looking for Zay. Even though DeAndre made the great catch, he's looking for Zay all the time. Just play him. The Baltimore tight end situation, it's a muddled mess. When Likely comes back, I think Mark Andrews could be on his way out. I just don't like anybody there. It's a concentrated fantasy offense for Baltimore. It's Henry, it's Lamar, and it's Flowers. Those are the three guys.
All three could
have.
finish at the end of the year as top 5 players at their position. Think about that. This is one football team, and all three guys at every key position could likely finish in the top 3 at their position. Incredible.
Let's go to the 3 o'clock games, and we start with Denver, his team.
My team.
At Indianapolis, 3:05 start on Sunday.
The Broncos defense is who we thought they were going to be. They were great, but their offense looked awful. And my guy, Bo Nix, really struggled. I did not see that coming. So, yes, I'm still going to start him against an Indy team that took advantage of a very bad Miami Dolphins outfit. But I'm not loving Bo Nix per se in like daily fantasy. Cortland Sutton's a stud, and I'm so happy that I sprinkled him all over my fantasy lineups. Cortland Sutton is awesome. The running back situation, typical of this coach. I mean, he drives me crazy. Sean Payton, RJ Harvey's a thing, but he's still going to have to wait because J.K. Dobbins is the veteran. They went out and got him. It's a split backfield. Both backs are startable. Neither back will likely blow up because of Sean Payton, so keep that in mind. On the Indy side, Daniel Jones can run the football, and they're going to use him in the red zone, so you need to pay attention. And in daily fantasy, or if you were lucky enough to draft him, he is a sneaky good fantasy option. Jonathan Taylor's a stud. Tyler Warren, absolute stud at tight end. I'm telling you, if you can make a trade to get this guy like our producer Alex did, go get Tyler Warren. He's awesome.
He traded Njoku.
It's all about the show here. Listen, I've got way more shares of Tyler Warren than I do my guy David Njoku, who I'm not giving up on now.
It's Njoku season.
It is, and you're going to pay for some of this commentary. Michael Pittman Jr., another guy that we just kind of slept on throughout the draft season. I'll be the first to admit that I did. He's still the number 1 target there. I thought Josh Downs had a real chance to take over that spot, but Danny Dimes was looking for this guy all over the field.
Kind of hard not to overreact to the Colts offense. And you got to kind of temper it a little bit, right?
Because of Miami.
Just because it was Miami, but Daniel Jones did look good. We'll see what he does against
this is a real defense.
Very good defense.
Broncos D is legit.
Yeah. Carolina, Arizona, it's a Sunday 3:05 start. The number's at 45.5. Don't really like this game. I think if you play Panthers, you're hoping they fall behind and they throw the ball all over the place. Chuba Hubbard, you can play. Again, at your discretion. Tet McMillan, I think, is a thing. He will be a thing. But I don't know if it's going to be this week. I'm kind of staying clear of Carolina. They just looked out of sorts in their game against Jacksonville. I just think that it's going to take some time for them to all figure that out. On the Arizona side, if you don't have Trey Benson on your roster, you better go get him because you can see this thing starting to kind of change a little bit. James Conner's still the back. He's still going to get his numbers, but Trey Benson is coming, and that's a handcuff. I think that you got to think about with the Cardinals. As expected, Trey McBride had 9 targets. He's going to get that every week. Marvin Harrison was solid. Now they're at home against the worst defense in the league last year. I think you load up on Arizona Cardinals as best you can. I don't know too many guys that have a ton of Cardinals on their team, but if you've got some, I think you got to look to play them against a bad Carolina defense.
I think if you play daily fantasy, one trend I'm going to watch in the early part of the season is playing against Carolina on the running side. They cannot stop running backs. Travis Etienne looked like Derrick Henry. He's not Derrick Henry.
Right.
Their run defense is so bad. So, both Benson and Connor this week in daily are guys I'm looking at for certain.
All right, let's go to Philadelphia, Kansas City. It's a 3:25 start on Sunday.
This is the best game of the week, hands down, for fantasy, for real football. It's a rematch of the Super Bowl. I'm assuming that Taylor Swift's going to be there and all the Swifties are going to be going bananas.
Including you.
I'm all over it.
Including you.
For sure. 47 total points is the expected number. I think there are going to be plenty of points to go around. Jalen Hurts, you don't have to think about it, do you? Just plug this guy in. You got the tush push. They're going to score points. Saquon Barkley looked awesome. Extra rest off a Thursday night game, I think, gives Saquon the chance to really take the workload over. Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown were awful in week 1. Please don't panic. They're both really good receivers. They're going to bounce back. And Dallas Goedert was a thing. 7 catches, something to watch for. Not a guy I had on my radar as a starter, as a top 12 tight end, but Dallas Goedert looked good, and if you're desperate, he can absolutely start. On the Kansas City side, it is a hot mess with these injuries. Worthy, the latest one, he's going to try to play through it. It's a shoulder injury. Pack a lunch. Please don't start him in daily or in regular fantasy. It's too risky. Let's wait and see. Mahomes, you're gonna start Patrick Mahomes in this matchup. Kelsey, you're gonna start. Pacheco, I don't know. I tell you what, Kareem Hunt and Pacheco to me are both going to kind of wash each other out. So I'm waiting on Pacheco. The guy you want, and I picked him up in a couple of my leagues, is Hollywood Brown. He had 12 targets. He had 10 catches. And if Worthy's not going to be healthy, that's the guy, right? Other than Kelsey, that they're going to throw the football to.
All right. Love it. Atlanta Vikings, Sunday Night Football, 7:20. It's the home opener at U.S. Bank. The early numbers, 45.5. Vikings are favored by 3.5. Close game, and when you've got a close game like this, you got to look at all the pieces, because if it's going to go back and forth, there's a lot of fantasy upside to the football game. The Vikings defense, the run defense looked really good. Bijan Robinson's a great player. Don't ever hesitate. And I love how they used him in the passing game last week against Tampa. He had that big 50-yard touchdown catch. Algier still got a lot of work, and so, again, that's a good handcuff to have if you've got it. And I wouldn't be afraid to play Algier if I'm desperate, only because I think he'll get some opportunities inside the red zone. Drake London, banged up. He's got a shoulder injury. He had 15 targets. Oof. If he's healthy, you got to play him. Michael Penix, I'm all over him in our Dynasty League. I love Michael Penix. I'm not going to play him in this game because I think the Vikings defense is good, and I think they're going to be better this week, both against the run and against the pass. I think they will be this week. But there's some good pieces for the Atlanta Falcons to play in this football game. I just think the Vikings have such a big advantage at home that it's kind of hard for me to jump all over Atlanta right now. But there are some really good pieces. And yes, Kyle Pitts had 7 catches for 59
Here we
yards.
go again. Are we going to take the bait?
I'm not going to touch it. On the Viking side, we talked about J.J. McCarthy was maybe the greatest storyline of this past week. What was it going to be like? Got off to a rough start in the first half. I think a lot of Vikings fans were like, oh boy, we can only go up from here. And he did. Fourth quarter was fantastic. So I think you've got to be encouraged. I think we saw some of the reasons why the Vikings are so excited about him at quarterback. I love how he uses his legs. I love how that's a part of his game. He throws a lot of fastballs. He's going to have to find a touch along the way. However, he's got great targets to work with, and there's patience on the side of the Vikings. I think we saw that on Monday night, the patience that they're going to have with him. So play Jefferson for sure. Go ahead and play Hawkinson if you need to. The guy that I really like is Jordan Mason. Man, if you got Jordan, I'm playing him in the Talk North League this week.
He looks good.
I did not play him last week, but really I'm playing both him and Aaron Jones this week because I have them both. Jordan Mason's RB1. I'm sorry. He runs like RB1. So the two complement each other a lot, but I think there's some really solid pieces. I'm not going to start McCarthy because I picked him as a backup in most of my teams. He's not quite, for me, ready for that, but he certainly looked good in there. He did. Finished well in their game against Chicago. Tampa Bay, there's 2 games now on Monday night this week. We're back to the doubleheader. Tampa Bay at Houston, Monday night, 6:00.
Total's 42.5, so kind of a middling total. You got 2 teams with a lot of fantasy players on both rosters. Baker Mayfield, never a question really for me. You're going to start this guy. Yep. He can run, he can throw. He showed that again in Atlanta on the road last week in week 1. Mike Evans is still the alpha receiver, but we talked about it, and thank God we had a player blow up. Emeka Egbuka is indeed the player we thought he would be. This kid is unbelievable, and I think if you are sitting on Godwin waiting for him to come back in week 5 or 6, you should be worried right now because this kid could end up being their top option.
You're right, and I said this when we did one of our shows that I would hesitate on him just because there's too many mouths to feed in front of him. I'm not so sure Godwin's going to be in front of him.
No way.
When he comes back.
No chance.
I'm not sure about that. So,
not at his age. And Egbuka is a guy that looks like he's going to only get better. He looks so talented, and he was awesome in that game. He was the biggest storyline for me in fantasy coming out of Tampa Bay. And then Bucky Irving didn't have a great game. Don't panic. Bucky Irving is still an absolute stud, and I think against Houston on the road, they're going to use him a bunch. On the Houston side, their offense really struggled. I think getting back home will help them. C.J. Stroud, I think, is startable. Nico Collins is sitting on a complete bounce-back game. 3 catches for 25 yards. Listen, you've got one of the best, most elite receivers in the game. They are going to game plan to get Nico Collins the football. Outside of that, I'm not starting anybody. The rest of their offense, Chubb looks old. Jaden Higgins is a young guy that I really like in a dynasty type of setting, but I'm not starting him in this spot. For me, it's all about the top 2 guys.
Last game of the week is Chargers at Vegas. It's a Monday 9 o'clock start. The number's 44.5 right now. Chargers are a 3-point favorite. On the Chargers side, play Justin Herbert until he cools off. Just play him because he's on a roll right now. He's playing well. He's got good receivers. Keenan Allen, he's old, but he's still pretty good. So if you've got him, think about playing him. Quentin Johnston had a nice start. I'm not sure he's the thing, but I think a lot of people jumped on him on the waiver wire, will jump on him this week. Not a bad guy to have on your bench. I'm still not convinced about the running game situation. Obviously, if you've got Hampton, hold on to him. The Raiders did give up 267 yards passing against New England. Wow. Keep that in mind for the Chargers this week. So if you've got receivers and Herbert, I think you got to play him. On the Raiders side, Brock Bowers is the story. Looked like he's going to be fine to play this week, but he got hurt. Monitor that injury report because if he doesn't, that's a big guy not to have. But he had 8 targets and 5 catches and 103 yards in the limited time because of the injury. So just play him. I think Genty had a disappointing start against a decent New England defense. He averaged 2 yards a carry. He did score a touchdown. He caught 2 passes for 2 yards. I think they'll find a way to get him better and more involved in the game. You want to say something?
92% snap share. So I think the big takeaway for me is you're right. On the road, he looked a little apprehensive in some of those runs. But if he's out there 9 of every 10 snaps, he's going to get fed. He's going to be just fine.
And Geno Smith, I thought, played decently at quarterback. It's a big win for Vegas to get off to a good start. He'll probably see a little bit more work this week. But for me, it's about Bowers. If Bowers is playing, then I'm going to be all over him.
Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Masonic Charities. When you think about the Masons, I get it. You think about the funny hats, those pancake breakfasts, which are phenomenal. My dear friend John Schweitz and I have chatted about this, and it's so much more than that. They've got the Masonic home over in Bloomington. They've got the hospital for the children over at the U of M. They are the largest fraternal organization in terms of charitable needs in our country, and they deserve a ton of recognition. So thank you, Minnesota Masonic Charities, for all you do and for supporting us over here at Talk North, and a special thanks to my good friend, John Schweitz.
If you don't have a lucky number, let me offer up 29. This is Randy Shaver, and 29 is the number that will keep you warm as the temperatures start to drop. 29. Aquarius Home Services is offering a $29 furnace tune-up right now when you need it. $29 for a worry-free winter of warmth. And don't forget to ask about their no breakdown guarantee. 29 is your lucky number. Visit AquariusHomeservices.com today.
10K Construction is your one stop for all your general contracting needs, whether interior, exterior, residential, commercial, or multifamily properties. They build relationships with their clients, and that's how they've grown their business through referrals. Plus, they are teaming up with LP SmartSide to become Minnesota's premier siding installer. And they're also partnering with IKO Shingles as well. They've got the best of the best to do the job right. 10K Construction covers both Minnesota and Wisconsin. Now, the rumor is they charge a little extra because it's Packer land. I'm not sure about that, but what I am sure about, 10K Construction is the company you want handling all of your general contracting needs. Go to 10kconstruction.com for details.
Hey, Rosie here for Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. If you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than my good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or the east side of the Twin Cities, they have got you covered with 2 great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to lexusofwayzata.com or lexusofmaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today.
All right, so those are the games for this week. I've put together a fantasy lineup that I like for this week.
Your best PPR lineup.
My best PPR lineup, and this is what it looks like. I love the Bengals this week. I'm going back to the well. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, playing both of them. I love Gibbs this week. We talked about this. I think it's a bounce back week for him, especially on the receiving end of things for Detroit. Breece Hall, I'm all over him this week. I think he's going to have a nice week running the football for the Jets because their opponent, the Buffalo Bills, gave up so many yards rushing last week against Baltimore. Hollywood Brown, you mentioned him.
Love him.
Playing him. I think it's a good place to play him. I've got Laporta in the starting lineup, as I should. I'm playing 2 Lions this week against Chicago. And my flex guy is Genty. I'm going to go back to the well, kind of like what you just said, about 92% of the snap rate for him. So that's my lineup. Burrow, Gibbs, Hall, Chase, Brown, Laporta, Genty.
All right, I'll start with mine. Baker Mayfield. I love what I saw from him on the road. I just think this guy's a gamer. And he can run. Quarterbacks that can run it in, score more fantasy points. I'm starting Baker Mayfield. I'm going back to Genty just like Randy. I'm going to use him as my RB1. They want to showcase their top draft pick in a home game, under the lights, on Monday Night Football. Yeah, let's get Genty rolling. James Cook, to me, looked incredibly good against the Baltimore defense I'm not sold on yet, but bottom line is James Cook's going to catch the football, and he's going to get all those looks in the red zone. At wide receiver, Puka Nacua is a no-brainer. This guy is such a stud. Got hurt in the game, got checked for a concussion, bleeding like a hockey player, down his face, right back on the field, all kinds of targets. Puka Nacua, I love you. Deebo Samuel, until we see any change in Washington, start Deebo Samuel. I think he's going to be a PPR machine. At tight end, I'm going Tucker Kraft. I think he's the red zone guy for Green Bay. I think he's the one guy on the pass catching side that's going to be consistently dependable. And when I think of a flex player, and I don't care if I'm playing daily or putting my best lineup together, I want a running back that's an alpha, that's going to catch the football, that's going to get red zone activity. When I think of that, I still think of Bijan Robinson.
Sure.
If you picked him first overall, you're going to get paid week in and week out. Even in a down game like last week, he showed you the talent he had with that 51-yard catch for a touchdown. So Bijan's my flex player.
My lineup last week scored 89 points in fantasy. I had Baker Mayfield. I had picked Taylor, McCaffrey. Kittle got hurt, but he still got 10.
Still was good.
That's not bad. 89 points.
It'll win you more often than not, for sure.
Daily fantasy. Last week, we talked about the no sweat Millie Maker on FanDuel.
What a deal.
$5. What that meant was you could play as many as 150 lineups. If you didn't cash on any lineup, they gave you the money back in credit that you could use this week or next week. It's free money, right? So I jumped all over that. I had 22 lineups last week in the Millie Maker. I cashed on 15.
That's really a good percentage.
Not big money, but I still cashed. I made $114, so not bad on that money. The lineup that I picked last week did not do very well, did not cash, but some of my other lineups did. Here's my FanDuel lineup for this week that I'm going to play. Josh Allen at 8,800. I'm going to go all in on spending money this week on a quarterback. He's my choice. Chase Brown, I'm back. He's $7,500. I think I got to get a piece of the Cincinnati offense. And so not only do I have Chase in my lineup this week, but I've got Jamar Chase. So that's a lot of money to spend on Bengals, but I'm going to go all in on that game. So that means I got to find value, right? I'm going to go Kenneth Walker this week.
That surprises me.
I know. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. He's only $6,100.
Wow.
I still think it's a split backfield. I'm going to kind of hope that maybe Seattle in their game against Pittsburgh will use both. I'm kind of fingers crossed. I'm kind of hoping on him. Another couple of values. Keon Coleman is only $5,300 this week. I'm going to jump back on him. He got a lot of targets. I think Buffalo is going to be pumped to play this week. Zay Flowers is only 6,300.
What a value
after this week. So I'm going to stick with those guys as receivers. I can afford Trey McBride. He's 7,000 in my lineup. He's getting so many targets. You know he's going to get in the red zone. You know he's going to get in the end zone. So I love McBride. My flex guy, I'm going to go back to what you talked about in Philly. Don't panic. Devonta Smith. He's at 6,300. And my defense this week is Dallas. I'm going to go with the Dallas defense this week. I just think that they're cheap. They're 3,400. It allows me to get a lot of good pieces in this week, and I want the Bengals pieces in my starting lineup. And I think that Dallas is a serviceable, good defense. So that's my lineup in FanDuel. Josh Allen, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, Jamar Chase, Keon Coleman, Zay Flowers, Trey McBride, Devonta Smith, and Dallas defense.
I'm going to piggyback on what you just said as far as defense goes. I'm going to start there because when I look to build a lineup in daily fantasy, and I'm on the same one, FanDuel, Millie Maker, main slate, I don't want to spend a ton of money on defense, but I want a defense that has upside. I spent $3,300, which is a lower price, on the Seattle Seahawks on the road at Pittsburgh. They put a lot of pressure last week on Brock Purdy. With Aaron Rodgers being back there like a statue, I think they can get some sacks. I think they're going to get some turnovers. Seahawks is where I started. I want to save money to have a big dog for my flex, and I'll get to my flex. But we'll start at quarterback. I like to stack a quarterback with a receiver. And every daily fantasy lineup I build, and I start with Jared Goff, who I think goes off back at home with Detroit. I've got Goff at 7,500. I've got the Sun God, his go-to guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, handcuffed to him. I'm going to start with those Lions. In the backfield, give me Travis Etienne. They trade Tanks Bigsby. He's the RB1 going against a bad Cincinnati defense. He's only $6,700. Yeah. I think Etienne is in crush mode, as is James Conner. I acknowledge Benson's the guy you want to stash for later, but right now, James Conner at 7,700 against the worst rush defense in fantasy in Carolina goes off. I love Etienne and James Conner in my backfield, along with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to take a swing on a cheap guy that I know we're all both worried about in Chicago and Rome Odunze. He got the garbage time touchdown. He's going to be in a role, I believe, where Detroit's going to be leading, and I think he ends up being the alpha receiver in this offense. I'll spend $5,800 to use him, and I love Zay Flowers. I'm gonna go right with you on Zay Flowers in Cleveland at 6,300. My tight end is Tyler Warren. Bullish on him throughout camp.
What's his price?
His price is $5,500.
Are you kidding me?
What a price.
Well, you know why that is. It's the Denver defense.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow,
and that's the
cheap.
risk. But he's still the guy.
You got to flex.
And I've got Christian McCaffrey at 8,900 as my flex. With the injuries that San Francisco is dealing with, not knowing about Brock Purdy, already knowing that Kittle's out, Christian McCaffrey in the red zone is going to crush. I've got him on multiple touchdowns.
Can they get him the ball? That's going to be the key.
Got to get him the ball.
All right. Those are our picks this week. We wish you a lot of luck this week in your fantasy endeavors. Our thanks to Aquarius Home Services, to 10K Construction, to Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Lexus of Maplewood and Wayzata. We're not playing each other this week.
Whew, thank God.
Take a deep breath, and good luck this week in your fantasy. Get on the waiver wire if you haven't done it yet, and good luck this week.